I want to take a quick second to thank the folks that make this show possible and want to give back to you for being a lowlifer. GillFishing.com. You can get a free gift just for being a lowlifer. Use code LBL promo at checkout at GillFishing.com. Check out their rain suits. Check out that Fitzroy down jacket. Maybe it's getting cold in the part of the country you're in. It's not in southern Middle Tennessee just yet, but I will be wearing my Fitzroy very soon. You can check them all out. GillFishing.com. LBL promo gets you a gift. Pro Guide Batteries, ProGuideBatteries.com is where you can check them out. I'm running the lithiums right now. I've got the all-in-one 36 volt on my trolling motor setup. I'm running a lithium cranking battery as well to power my electronics independently. It is fantastic. I've been running 14.5 volts truly for days without charging my batteries to my live scope. It is an incredible setup. They also have AGMs if you're not in the market for lithiums, and they're some of the best batteries in the game. Trust people that have been in the battery business for over 30 years. Use code LBL10 at checkout to save on Pro Guide batteries.
Carrying all the love we had, I'm surprised she could stand flat-footed on the floor. The weight of the world is strong when you stop.
Listen to old Shannon Wheeler on that fiddle, boy. Come on.
Find yourself on the other side of town
without
slowing down before you even know.
What are you doing right here?
Dancing with the demons inside your head.
That boy's good now. Shannon Wheeler on the fiddle.
Drowning out every last word that she said.
Sometimes you got to have a change in pace.
Caught in the middle.
So blind I can't see. That the liars and thieves,
They're all just like me.
ooh, the soothing sounds of Shannon Wheeler with me singing over it on one I wrote from all the way back in 2020 right there. Welcome to Low Budget Live, a little mellow Low Budget Live, and that was from the COVID sessions, myself and Shannon Wheeler. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, it's on YouTube. That's a song called Liars and Thieves, one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And I was really, really, really sick when we recorded that. Shannon loves to tell that story, but we called it the COVID sessions because I was didn't know at the time, but had COVID, which has led to a lot of craziness since then in my life, which is why this podcast is late this week. Welcome, you bunch of low-lifers. This is the podcast for Tuesday, October 29th. And got some messages from y'all I saw this morning, and spent all day in the hospital yesterday. Spent in the ER, and if you've kept up with the show for any number of years, I don't like the doctor. I try not to go to the doctor very often, but last January 23, I talked about this on here. I was having some heart issues, chest pains, palpitations, weirdness is how I would best describe what I had going on. I ended up going to my regular doctor and having blood work done, chest x-ray, EKG, those kind of things. And everything was cool. Got back home. The lab work came back probably 2 hours after they drew my blood, and I was actually sitting here in the bar and grill, was working at the computer. Marissa came walking out here and said, "Hey, we got to go." I'm like, "Go where?" She said, "The ER, you're having a heart attack," which is a very weird thing for your wife to say, okay? And apparently my blood work, my labs had shown that I was throwing all the right codes, that I was having a heart attack or had a heart attack. And so we load up in the car, we go to the ER, and spent most of that night into the middle of the night at the ER, hurting, chest was hurting, but they did like 3 EKGs while I'm there and blood work and whatnot, and that level receded. They gave me some nitroglycerin. They sent me home. I went to a cardiologist a few times. They did an echocardiogram, and they asked me if I'd had the vaccine. They asked me if I'd had COVID. I got the jab back when it was all crazy. Y'all probably remember me talking about that a little bit. Scary times. And I did get it. I will say now in 2024, I do regret that. I do regret that. I'll be honest, because after seeing multiple doctors, that's like the first thing they ask. And if you're a doctor listening to this show and you don't agree with that, I apologize. But I have personal experience with doctors being like, "Did you get the shot?" Okay, well, men your age are having heart problems because we think of that. Anyways, they ended up diagnosing me with something called post-COVID pericarditis, which is basically the membrane around your heart is swollen. You ask a very intelligent cardiologist, what does this entail long term? He says, we don't know. We're seeing different things because of everything going on between COVID, between vaccines. Like, we just don't have enough knowledge on this. But you're like the 5th person I've diagnosed this week in your age range and your gender. Males, apparently like 30 to 50, this is a thing. So no clue. I have, again, that was just January. It'll be 2 years now. And it's been, anytime you get a little flutter, anytime you're like, damn, I'll be honest. I am a little paranoid of it because your heart will kill you. Obviously, it's like a ticking time bomb. And I do have a history of heart problems in my family. I do have, high blood pressure in my family, which I don't have. Believe it or not, I can run a little hot in life. Don't have high blood pressure. And so that kind of leads us to this weekend, had the MPFL event. I text Marissa Thursday night. We were Thursday-Friday event for us, me and Fat Cat live in the studio. I got up there on Wednesday. And I texted her Thursday night and just said, I don't feel right. Like, something doesn't feel right. And again, I don't like going to the doctor. I don't, I don't. Not something I enjoy in life. But just told her, you know yourself, and as men, we can be a little stubborn, and I don't like to go to the doctor because they always find something wrong with me, I feel like. But I'm 41 now, and I'm not in the best shape that I've ever been in, and anyways, told her that Thursday night, and just didn't feel right. I didn't feel sick. It's just hard to describe, but I had some chest pains. Do have some stressful bull crap going on in life right now. Shouldn't be dealing with, but I am. And you're thinking, maybe it's, stress, whatever. And anyways, do the MPFL, fly back home, get home late Friday night. Okay. Wake up Saturday morning. Okay. Feel a little bit better, actually. Marissa and I go and we played pickleball together. Got in some exercise, and I was maybe a little more out of breath than normal, but whatever. Just wasn't, I'm fat and old and tired, right? Like, I'm just attributing everything to that, and unhealthy. My diet consists of like damn Little Debbie's, Doritos, and damn like salad every now and then. Like, I eat like a child right now, just on the move constantly. So anyways, goes into Saturday night, actually deer hunted Saturday afternoon. It was the youth deer hunt, me and Riderman. We deer hunt, have a great time. Feel fine. I wake up at 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning, pain down my left arm, chest, just crazy pain. Also in my neck. I wake Marissa up, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Not to be all Fred Sanford about it, but like, is this the big one? I don't know. Like, am I having a heart attack? Like, what's going on? I go take some aspirin because that will save your life, by the way. Keep some baby aspirin around. Every cardiologist will tell you that. Can potentially save your life. So I go take some aspirin, and after a while, it calms back down a little bit. So I'm not, and I don't want, look, man, we got a house full of kids. I don't want to freak everybody out. That's a stupid statement to make, but I ain't trying to go to the ER at 3:30 in the morning. So I actually get up, and Ryder and I go deer hunt behind the house. We walk and go and sit there for a couple hours, have a great time. I don't feel great the entire time we're there, hurting, but I'm just like, here we are. And so I end up making my way. We made our way back out after a couple hours, and I was just, man, there's not a lot of hills. We walk going to where we hunt behind the house, and it's pretty flat. And I was so just cooked, out of breath by the time I got back to the house, man. It just didn't even make sense. Spent all Sunday on the couch after that, hurting, taking aspirin every couple hours, and just, I don't know, praying it's not something major. All these thoughts going through your head, which doesn't help. And anyways, Marissa, we have a dear friend that's a doctor, and she's like, well, you can just go there in the morning, first thing. They open at 7, and get some, just get some labs done. Just get, whatever. So I go yesterday morning around 8 and get there and tell them what's going on, which immediately puts people on red alert. Oh, you got chest pains. You shouldn't be at a regular doctor's office. You should be at the ER, that kind of thing. But they did an EKG, and which, reads immediate. It's what's going on right then. They did not like the reading. Marissa was with me, and she works in the town where the doctor's at, so she came over to meet me, thank God. And they're like, do you want to go by ambulance, or do you want your wife to take you to the ER because you're going and we're calling ahead and you got to go? So here we go again. And man, it's, I consider myself a pretty tough dude, but you start getting lots of crazy thoughts and being in your 40s, I think I have a sense of my own mortality now more than ever. I lost my mom in her early 60s. And also, I just want to say, damn, October is crazy for me. All right. My mom dies October 20th, 5 years ago. It's a great month as well, because that's when Hudson was born on the 10th. But October 26th, it was just the 23-year anniversary of when I almost lost my life. Things got crazy, and I saved a guy, Mr. Robert Justice, down on Wheeler Lake in my little Triton aluminum boat at the time. And anyways, it was like all that was going on this weekend thinking about that. So October is a hell of a ride for me sometimes. But anyways, damn October. Also one of my favorite months to fish and deer hunt, but damn it. So anyways, we go to the ER and EKG again. As soon as we get there, they take me back. We do all the things, blood work, IVs, talk to the doctor. And after being there for basically the entire day, comes in and says, hey man, your blood work looks fine. Your EKG's back to normal, and I'm going to send you home. I don't, I know you're having the chest pains hurting down your arm. We can't see anything that's causing it to make us think you're, it's a blood clot. They check for blood clots as well. Like, we don't see anything medically that's telling us this. You need to go to your cardiologist and follow up. So that was that. That was why I was out. And I got something going on for sure. And not sure. I mean, sitting here right now recording this podcast, I have pains on the left side of my chest. I needed the peace of mind, to be honest. The doctor being like, you're good. It's still scary. Not going to lie to you. Still worrisome. But all you men out there, take care of your damn selves, because I'm stubborn. Like I said, I mean, had I gone and found out something had already happened, just being stubborn and over the weekend and just being like, I'll just ride it out, I would have regretted that, for a long time. So going to try to go get some other lab work done, some different things, but y'all know I'm open and honest with you on this podcast. People are like, where you at? What's going on, man? Hope you're okay. That's what's going on. Turns out to be yet another false alarm. I mean, last time, again, I did find out that I do have something wrong with my heart that or did at the time. I don't know if it's that flaring up again or what's going on. Again, even the doctors don't know much about that crap. So, yeah. There's a song that the Black Crowes used to do called "My Heart's Killing Me." My heart's killing me. That's it's kind of what's going on. I'm just walking around. It's like, what the hell? So yeah, appreciate y'all checking on me. When I go radio silent, people are like, what the hell? Because I'm normally at least trying to let you know where I'm at and what's going on. So I was actually going to do a live last night. That was what I had scheduled with our guest today, but just, obviously I was wiped out, man. Once if you've ever been in the hospital, ER, whatever, it's just kind of an exhausting situation. There's a lot more questions than answers usually. And it's never a fun place to be. So I was wiped out. I went to bed at about 7:30 last night. And here we are this morning recording. Appreciate y'all again checking on me. But yeah, so what's going on with the old ragged lowlifer here is just trying to figure it out. We got ABT this week. I don't have time to die, dude. We got bass fishing to talk about, okay? Can't be checking out with this heart stuff, but definitely taking it serious. I'm definitely, I'll tell you right now, on October 29th right here, I am, whether it matters or not, I'm sure perfectly healthy people fall out all the time, but I am very, very, very much fixing to take as much into my own hands as I can as far as my own health, because it's just scary. And man, I see my dad, my dad is 67 now, and he's not in the best health. He's got one knee he's had replaced, one bum knee, doesn't get around good, high blood pressure. And man, and I'd tell him this if he was sitting right here, like, he doesn't take care of himself, and he knows he doesn't take care of himself. And so I just don't, for me, like, I gotta get my crap together. And y'all know, if you follow along for a long time, man, I was hiking. I was in the best shape I'd been in very, very many years, just a couple years back. And just, doing cardio all the time. Was not just on a crazy diet necessarily, but I was, walking and hiking like 6 miles a day and just staying on it and making sure I was staying on it. So that's the goal, is just to get back to, we have the last few weeks we've been playing pickleball. I've talked about that on here. It's great exercise. I do really, really enjoy it. We do it as a family, which is even cooler because all the kids are all in on it. Marissa's all in on it. But so I'm moving. I'm moving more than I have been lately, but it's just a diet thing. Gotta, start. Unfortunately, I think I gotta eat a little healthier. Just put the cards, or put the chips towards me, right? Like, bet on Luke a little bit. And but I would suggest that to anybody out there, man. Like, it's you click over 40, you start thinking about every little ache and pain and groan. So anyways, didn't mean to ramble on that so long. Not a woe is me thing. Just want to let everybody know that reached out. Like, I try my damnedest to put this show out every Monday within reason. I know we had a Tuesday one a couple weeks ago, just things got crazy, but I do my damnedest. And this is episode like 290 something, 4 maybe, almost in a row. So appreciate y'all being patient. I appreciate you caring enough to reach out and to be like, hell man, where's Luke? That fat redneck's always here on Monday morning or Monday evening. So, ABT this week at Wheeler, the last ABT of the season. Then we'll kick things back off in January. But this is an ABT 100, so got the pros are allowed to fish. Going to see a lot of familiar faces this weekend, and I think the boys will catch them. We'll be doing live on Saturday morning, so if you're sitting in a deer stand board, if you're not wanting to watch College Game Day and you want to see some Tennessee River bassing, because I promise you they're going to be catching them, you can tune in. I believe we'll go live right out of the giddy, like probably around 6:45, 7, and that'll run till almost 11 a.m. So Central Time. So check us out there. Myself, Darion, Craig, and Jason Duran. Speaking of Darion, something I don't think I've even mentioned on the show, and if I have, I apologize. My boy, And y'all know, man, me and him have a history of calling each other idiots and stupid and whatever. But he is like my little brother. And most of y'all know that. One of my closest friends and somebody that I really respect the hell out of and all of his accomplishments. He's going on Shark Tank. He's actually already filmed it, but he's going to get an air date soon. The season is on now. I was actually with him at the ABT the other night when the first episode came on, and I was there. We were sharing a room, and there he is on Shark Tank in the the beginning of the episode in the intro for the season 1 premiere. Weird, man. It's weird. What a ride that dude has been on. And we'll try to do a podcast with him sooner than later just to talk about all of it. Hopefully after the Shark Tank episode comes out, that way we can all find out what's going on. He can't really talk about it. It's really crazy the amount of NDAs and whatnot when you go on that show. It's pretty wild. He actually made a social media post about it, alluding to the fact that he might be on it, and was asked by the producers to take it down. And he was in the damn trailer. Like, it's crazy. And they're like, yeah, but you're just in the trailer. There's no guarantee you're going to be on an episode. Like, it's pretty wild. So I can't wait to do an episode with him to talk about that entire process, because I know a little bit about it through him, and it's been a ride, man. It's been a ride. So, Darion, I got the y'all hat on today and everything. I actually had this on in the hospital yesterday, and Marissa sent him a picture and said, I don't know if this is a good ad or bad ad. He's been drinking a lot of that strawberry sweet tea lately, and it might have killed him. So, joking, of course. But y'all go check out Y'all Sweet Tea if you haven't. Most of y'all have. If you care anything about fishing at all, y'all know Darion. You've seen him over time with me, but Darion Craig, y'allsweettea.com. Go check him out. All right, I gotta give some love there. I gotta give some love. And now he used to ask me for advice on things in life, and he still does on certain things, like how not to die. He actually sent me a text yesterday. He goes, hey man, while I was in the hospital, hey man, I really need you not to die. Which is the most Darion thing of all time, by the way. That's just Darion. So, love my buddy. A lot of good friends. But yeah, man, Y'all Sweet Tea on damn Shark Tank coming up. And he will confirm that he might have had some words with Mark Cuban. So it's going to be fun, man, when the premiere goes down. He still doesn't know air date. They're kicking around some things he was telling me, but I will let you all know, you low-lifers, when, so that way you can check out one of our own from the fishing industry, Darion Craig, on the one and only Shark Tank. All right, MPFL just wrapped it up. I can't say enough about how tough that event was. Lake of the Ozarks was nasty, man. We saw some big ones get caught. We saw some big ones get caught on live. We saw a lot of rats get caught on live. We really had a great 2 days of live coverage, despite the fact that catching a limit was bordering on impossible for a lot of anglers. We had a lot of great topwater stuff on live, though. If you watched, I really appreciate it. If you're asking yourself, where do I get that LOB Power Finesse jig? It seems to be hard to find at my local tackle store. Well, it's because it's available exclusively at bait-works.com. This little bad boy right here with a custom 3/0 trocar hook, finer than frog hair skirt material, available in 7 fish catching colors that I designed. I promise you this jig gets a bite, and when you hook them, the best part is you're going to get them in, because you can throw it on big line to get them from the cover. They're going to be hanging out around. Baitworks also has a great selection of any tackle that you might be looking for. You can use code Duncan-10 at checkout, Duncan-10, DUNKIN-10, to let them know you are a low lifer. And last, but certainly not least, hang the banner. The original all-welded aluminum bass boat that was the first ever aluminum bass boat to take a ride around the arena with a classic trophy on the front deck. I'm running the Express X21 Pro. It has a 96-inch beam. It has the fastest hole shot in the game with that 250 Yamaha show. They're Yamaha exclusive, so they've got great top end, amazing hole shot, great fuel efficiency, C-deck bow to stern, more tackle storage than you can shake a stick at. Don't just take my word for it. Go to a dealer, check them out, take a ride. You see a guy on the water with one, be like, hey, buddy, Luke Duncan says you'll give me a ride. I'm going to get in that boat. I don't know how that'll work out for you. You can check them out at expressboats.com. Look at the new H20, maybe the H17, the H18, maybe a bay boat. They've got you covered. I promise you, any size, any budget, Express Boats has it going on. Check them out. Express Boats, building excitement since 1966. Nick Brown, the Texas pro, was able to win. Lake Fork area, Alba, Texas, was able to win with only 13 bass. So he could bring in a possible 15. He wins with 13. That's the first time that's ever been done in the MPFL's 4-year history. Doesn't happen a lot in big tournaments, multi-day tournaments. If you cannot catch a limit every day, most of the time you're going to come up short. But Nick was able to pull it off and caught some big ones, man. And such a huge jump. He came from 18th in the standings after day one to take the damn lead with 21.5 pounds. Like, it was a crazy dramatic event. Joseph Webster, Bassmaster Elite Series pro, former FLW Tour pro, friend of mine that I've known for many years through the FLW Tour. Great guy. Doesn't have that big pro fishing win as far as that $100,000 win. He won the Living the Dream deal through FLW the year I met him through the TBF or whatever it's called. And they don't do that anymore. But it was really cool. You got a Suburban with a fully rigged and wrapped boat, and they paid your entry fees to the tour then. So that kind of got him started. He made the Forcewood Cup through that and had a top 10 in the Cup. Dude can catch them. Joseph can catch them. I was excited that he was coming to the MPFL this year. And, man, he just came up short. He lost one the last day, and that he's, late in the day. He wasn't getting a lot of bites. Neither was Nick, obviously. 13 bass, but they were big ones, man. He caught a big one on a glide bait, real dramatic. Nick Brown. It was awesome. And Nick said on stage, this is like for the everyman. This is for the guys because he owns his own business. He's not a full-time pro. We're going to talk to him today, and I can't wait, man. He was great on live, and I love the MPFL for that reason. We do have this mix of very, very stout touring professionals, okay? More and more every year since the league started. Then you have the quote-unquote working men, like a Brandon Perkins, who also had a great tournament, came from 20th to 2nd after day number 2, and then only, I believe, one bass the last day fell. It was still top 10, I believe. But you have these guys who don't get to fish a ton, who are scrapping it out with the likes of Drew Cook, who's... Dude, you talk about jumping out of your skin? Buddy, I don't know if y'all can hear that right now. But I tell you, there's apparently an Alexa in this space that I'm in, the bar and grill. And buddy, week of Halloween, you think you hear recording a podcast by yourself and somebody just starts talking. Okay, that's what that was in the background. So this heart, I didn't know. Okay, hang on, time out. What? I hope that came through the microphone, because if it didn't, I'm gonna look like a crazy person. That was wild. Okay, immediately, I quickly, I won't say immediately, quickly recognized the tone of the voice. Charlie was staying out here. We have an apartment out here that runs parallel to the bar and grill. And it used to be where Harper lived, and then Charlie occupied it for a while. Now it's empty. And I didn't know that there was an Alexa. You got to say it quiet, or she'll start talking again. Whew. All right. Do you want to know why I have heart problems? There you go. All right. There you go. And here in the dark, damn. I just said I was tough. I wasn't scared of anything. And all of a sudden, a lady starts talking to me that I didn't think was here. Okay. Holy shit. Anyways, I don't even know what I was saying. I have zero clue what I was even talking about. MPFL, it was awesome. Nick Brown won. We're going to talk to him right now. All right, as promised, here he is, the champ, the new champ. Lake of the Ozarks winner for the National Professional Fishing League. Nick Brown, that sounds pretty good, don't it?
It does. I tell you what, somebody called me last night and said, man, I got to get used to it. I haven't had not a single friend answer the phone to, hey, champ. So it's been pretty cool.
Man, what an ugly tournament. First of all, let's talk about the ugliness of the fishery. Not really an ugly tournament for you, but dude, did you ever think, all right, you've been fishing tournaments a long time. You've had a lot of regional success. You've had some success in the MPFL. We've had you on camera, but did you ever think you would win $100,000 and that beautiful trophy that's next to you with only 13 bass against
Not
this
in a million, not in a million years. I was mumbling at my microphone and I knew there was no way that I could do any good without 5 fish, especially with Perkins on my heels. And I mean, look at the, you come off the water and you look where everybody finished. You look at the list of names that was below me, and I'll tell you what, that's half the reason I fish the MPFL is an opportunity to fish against those guys. When else are you going to get that opportunity?
No doubt, man. And that's something I wanted to ask you because I forget the exact quote. I was watching you win from an airplane seat and it was cutting in and out. And I'm like trying to get it to refresh because I love being a part of the MPFL. I hate not being on site. The first year we were on site. And so you get to actually be there in those winning moments and talk to somebody when they come off stage and shake your hand. And we had spent so much time with you all day. And when we left live, it wasn't pretty. I mean, you had you abandoned your deal. You had kayakers and local boats just dousing your area that you had to yourself pretty much. And it's like, all right, is he, I don't mean this in a negative way. Like, is he spinning out? Is he making adjustments? Like, what is he going to do? And we leave live at 1, y'all got till 5. So we don't know. And we have truly, people are like, whatever, y'all know what happens. Like I have buddies of mine that text me going, dude, what's actually going on? I'm like, I promise you, I do not know. I talked to Brad Fuller 3 times between 1 and 5. I ain't got a damn clue.
Nobody knows, dude. I didn't even know. I mean, it's even standing there and waiting in the top 10 and lining up at the end of the day. And then you talk to the guys and we all talk to each other a little bit, and kind of know what's going on. I literally, when Brandon Perkins came in, I stuck my fingers in my ears and did the la, 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 because I didn't want to, because I knew he was going to come in and be like, oh, it was a rough day. I only had 26.
That's right.
So, because that's Brandon. He's a closer too. So
no doubt about it. And you got Webster trying to get his first big pro win. He's been fishing pro, I believe, since like 17, but fish the Elite Series, got a lot of experience. He's not had that win. And I even said it on live. If you've gone back to watch, like even day 2, he had this presence about him where it felt like, all right, he's on the right deal. But here again on live, we don't know about Nick Brown and Brandon Perkins on day 2. We have no clue. Y'all's names started popping up unofficially on the Way Live leaderboard, but we're like, all right, normally when that happens, a guy will end up, once everything sorts out, like 9th. You know what I mean? Like we just see it enough. Yeah. And then you start hearing whispers like, dude, Nick's got a bag.
Right.
For real? Like where I'm getting texts from the weigh in, and then you weigh in and you go from like, I believe 18th, right in that range, all the way to first. I'm like, okay, we don't know what we're talking about on live. This is a whole new ball game. And you take a 3-pound lead into the final day, dude. And Ken Duke is a stats guy. I'm not a stats guy at all, but like, that's got to be one of the biggest comebacks in tournament fishing history, in my opinion. Like that's a big one.
Yeah, I think I moved from like 17th,
17th
up to there. But yeah, I was sitting. So I roommate with Jesse Wise and Baron Adams, and we were sitting over there on the side of that morning, and I was visiting with Baron. I told him, I said, man, my goal today on the second morning is to get 13 pounds because I knew that would put me up in the top 10 boats. That'd give me a full day of fishing, and I would just have a good finish. And I said, I'm going to be over there with the top 10 guys in the morning. And Barrett said, yeah, me too. Let's both do that. And we were just kind of joking around about it. And then I went out and the day was just absolutely phenomenal. So, but it was one of those days where it couldn't go wrong. I mean, bad stuff happened, fish getting tangled up, everything else, catching one with like 4 or 5 minutes to go before weigh in and calling out a 2-pounder. I mean, because even in that 21-pound sack, I still had a 2-pounder in there. I missed.
Telling me,
yeah, there was like 2, 3, or 4 pounders that cannonballed my buzzbait that completely missed it, or they hit it from the front going away from me and just hit the front of the bait, and I didn't connect with them, and that was like it really could have been a real a giant day.
And you lost them on day 1 too, right? So you had 4 for 11 on day 1, did not have a limit. And you told me going into the final day there that you said, man, I should have had a pretty good bag yesterday too. So in the same area.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was around the right fish. I think I averaged like Ken or somebody told me, I think it was like 352 or something like that average, which is, which was pretty salty for up there this time of year, with the, people talked about the amount of bait, but only the anglers know. You literally, I mean, I took some video of it. The amount of bait that was on the bank. I think if you threw a cast net out, I don't believe you could have lifted it. There's just so much for them fish to eat. That bait or that bite up there was just total aggravation. I think if you weren't aggravating them, I don't think, or pecking them on the nose, I don't think you were getting bit.
And that was kind of your 1-2 punch, was a buzz bait, and you would follow it up with a creature bait. But the clutch move of the whole tournament was that glide bait on the final day that you literally, it was one of the coolest. And I wish I had the clip that I could play right here on the show. It'd be awesome. But you pick up the rod, you take it off the reel, fire it out there, begging like first cat. And I don't think you had another bite on it, right? On that day, or did you catch
I did have some other fish that come out and came after that, but yeah. Okay. So that same log the day before, I was actually going back there the very first day. It was short bites back there. I caught the fish on the docks leading up to that area, and that's where I caught my fish on day one. Day two, I was like, okay, there wasn't any big fish back here yesterday. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to run that stuff one more time and see if I can get bit. And I go back there and I come across that exact same log that you see me catch, the one on the glide. So at 10:40 the morning before, I caught a 4.6 off of that log. I come by that log, previous to you guys probably coming on live. That was my third time fishing that log that day, on the third day. And when I threw up there, I threw the buzzbait up there 4 or 5 times, of course, and I pitched my bait down both sides of the log and nothing. I was like, well, what the heck? I think I said something right previous to that. I was like, yeah, I pitched I threw a chatterbait up there, but they just wanted to push it the day before, so they wouldn't really get it. So I went ahead and pitched that glide up there, and I did like 2 chops of the handle, and that fish just, the bait was still on the surface, and it just flushed it and went out. And that fish was hot, boy.
Yeah. The run, it was like a redfish.
Yeah.
It was screaming. We thought it was a lot. It was a 5-pounder, but we thought it was a lot bigger than it was. I'm like, dude, does he got like an 8-pounder only? It was so, I don't know. We had a lot of good visual topwater blows, but to me, that one was just as good as it gets. Like the adjustment to go, you know what, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Boom, immediately.
Like I said, on the second day when I caught my big bag, it was like right at the end of the day, I caught one on it and called out a 2-pounder, and the fish got hung up in a chain under a dock and then come off and like literally swam over to the side of the boat and opened its mouth, and I grabbed it. And I was like, that doesn't ever happen. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So as far as glide baits go, later in the day, I had a total of like 5 or 6, 3+ pound fish follow that glide out off of docks, and they wouldn't eat it. And right before we went off live, I threw up by a dock, and I was talking to a gentleman that was in a kayak that had seen me up there the second day and watched me catch the big bag. He said, "Do you mind if I just watch you?" And I said, "No, come on." And I threw up there, and the fish followed it out, and I'd never done this before, but this fish come out there, and it like pecked at it, and I just kept the rod coming towards the trolling motor. The next thing I know, I'm down there doing figure eights like muskie, and this thing hits it 3 or 4 times, and he's back there with the camera, and I'm like, "Can you see it? Can you see it?" He's like, "Yeah, I can see it. I can see it."
We saw you on live doing the figure eight. We saw that.
Yeah,
we saw
there was
that.
there was like a 3. He hit it, and he hit it, and he hit it, and he hit it, and he would like come up, and he would nip it, and he would get hung up on the hooks for just a second. You'd see me jerk, and then he would come loose, and then it was like. And then finally he just quit on it, but he was so focused in on that glide, trying to get away from him. He had no idea that the boat and 2 of us were standing there staring at him. That was probably one of the most memorable things that wasn't a fish catch,
No doubt, man. Well, I know that you've been close. We've had you again on camera a couple times in the last 2 seasons, and again, I'm jumping all over the place, but I remember on the plane, and the exact quote leaves me, but you said like, this is for all the guys really that aren't quote unquote pros. It was something along those lines, the everyday guy, the working man. And man, that just hit me. That was so powerful, because you do own your own business. You're not Kyle Welcher. You're not Patrick Walters by choice. You're not out there chasing the tournament trail full time. And the MPFL, that was the original reason it was created, was for that. Right. And so I love those stories, because there are so many guys, and you're one of them, and so many that it's your choice. You go, you know what? I'm not going to go through the opens to try to go to the elites. I'm not trying to go BPT. This is where I want to be. But now, with the addition of more of these household names, I'd call them, that's all they do is fish. You're getting the opportunity to stack up, and dude, you got a shield and you got a cardboard, big old Happy Gilmore check to show that you can hang. And that comment though, man, that was so awesome. And that's raw emotion. And just talk about what it means to get to that win in that event against the competition. And the MPFL guys, if you're watching this and you don't know Nick Brown, and I hope you will after today, but if you don't know the Luis Fernandez that don't fish the Elite Series, and you don't know Will Harkins and Barron Adams and Jesse Wise and all these guys, trust me, you don't want them hanging around your Tuesday nighter.
No, I'm telling you right now, there ain't. To be honest with you, I think that every single person that we have out there in the MPFL stands a chance. All of them in their own rights at some point or time have flirted with that top 10, you know, and been up there, you know, and if I could say anything, I mean, I want to win them all. We all want to win them all, but I can tell you right now that if everybody had the opportunity to do it and to be up there, I mean, it's an unbelievable feeling. It's nothing like I thought it would be. I mean, it's a lot more. And, you know, for the little, I mean, for us to do it, the outpouring of support that I had the night after I caught that sack of fish and the morning of the tournament, I barely made it up there to take off on time. Just the amount of people that were, you know, talking to me and congratulating me and telling me, you know, go get them. And we're hoping you do good today. And people that, you know, normally I don't normally talk to. Everybody's got a close group of friends that they talk to when they're out on, you know,
roommates
that they make when they're out. Yeah. Roommates, just everybody. And then the people that stick around that, you know, that stuck around for weigh-in. I mean, you know, Walter stuck around and Palmer and that whole crew and you know, Ryan Satterfield, which is, you know, I'm good friends with. He's like, he sent his dad back to the room to pack. And he's like, he stood 2 feet from the stage. He's like, dude, I'm not leaving until I know if you win or not.
Yeah,
so
not missing it.
Yeah, you know, Ryan's won, Gary's won. I'm friends with both those guys. I talk to them during practice and compare notes. And I tell you, if somebody has the opportunity, even if they just do it once, even if they just do it for a season, even if they're not successful, I think going out and the feeling that you get is pretty spectacular. And I mean, I would 100% say, you know, go for it. You know, nobody wants to throw money away, but you never know. You never know what you might do. I mean, I had no clue when I went up there to this tournament. I knew what I was going to do, but I had no clue that it was going to turn out like this.
Yeah, and not only do you win 100K here, we have the win and you're in now with the championship. So now you're qualified automatically for the championship, entry fee free, 40 boats, another fall tournament. You seem like you like those a little bit. It's going to be next October. So, I mean, another chance at 100K, and we got one more event this year, man. But I just think, you know, I think about a guy like Brandon Perkins. When I hear you talk about running your own business, Brandon doesn't necessarily run his own business, but Brandon talks all the time about he doesn't fish. Like, he doesn't get to fish that much. When you see him at an MPFL, to be honest, like, that's when he's fishing. The rest of the time he's home working, chasing kids. And so I think for him to have that success, for you to have success, just speaks to your angling ability, man, because these guys, again, not just to throw the household names out. The MPFL, if it's taught me anything, is just because you've never, quote unquote, heard of somebody, buddy, you don't want to be up against them. We've got, and I think this year's field for sure is the toughest we've had in the 4 seasons, without a doubt. It's gotten increasingly better, but man, you can't miss right now. Like, you just can't. And I think with 13 bass, like you said, a 3.5 pound average, if you don't do that, you're going to come up a little short. You were catching big ones. You're a East Texas guy, man. You put all your faith in that power fishing pattern, dude. But I want to say that on live watching you, and I watch arguably, I mean, I know there are guys that do it for Bassmaster and MLF, but between the MPFL, Alabama Bass Trail, like, I watch a lot of live fishing. I'm fortunate to have that as one of my jobs. And you were never, when I mentioned earlier, like, where you spun out, that kind of thing. If you never showed it. Like, even at the end of live, you got 2 fish, like, you were still cutting up, you're laughing, you're bringing the energy. You were never, because I've seen guys get shook. I've seen guys and you go, that's it, because they're spun. And numerous times we've seen it, and I don't mean that in a negative way, because dude, I've had multiple days on the water where I'm spun. It's like, well, crap, this didn't go like it was supposed to by 9. And then you're just completely like trying to figure it out. Right. And you were just,
right.
You see,
well, my wife said the same thing. She goes, you fished way different on camera than I've seen you before. She goes, before you're on edge and everything else. But I got to be honest with you. I was really, really calm going into this. I've had a horrible season leading up to this. A lot of little things that have turned it topsy turvy. And just like Brandon said, sometimes I leave an NPFL event. I put that boat, cover on, and I don't fish again until we go back to the NPFL event. I'm busy. Mm-hmm. And trying to get stuff done. And if I get a chance to go someplace, that's, to get a little practice in or something. But I went out there and she said I had a whole different, demeanor about me and stuff. And during this one, but I went into this one with no pressure. I mean, I had no chance of making the championship. So the winning you're in is totally awesome. That's pretty much a little bit of guaranteed money in the bank. And then I don't know. It was really calm. I have a friend, Ken Whitfield, who let me stay in his condo up there, let all of us stay in his condo up there, hooked us up this weekend, him and his buddy. And we stayed there, and he talked to me on the second day after practice, and he said, how you feel about it? I said, man, I'm going to win. And he goes, well, that's a great attitude to have, because I always say that. And I said, no, I really think I can win. And he's like, really? And I said, well, everybody's talking 15 pounds a day. I said, I think I'm closer to 17. And he's like, man, he said, that'd be awesome. And then I come off the water on the last day. Him and Baron both were like, dang it, Bobby. So, but it was
you
like, yeah, you weren't lying. I mean, it was awesome. But like you said, there was no spinning out. Man, I've never been so calm. I've heard a lot of these guys say, I've heard Walters, Cox, everybody say, man, you just know when things are going your way. And you do. That's a legitimate saying. I can't call BS on that at all.
When I saw Joseph had 5, watching the way in again, and I'm on a damn Southwest flight and it's jumping all over the place. And I'm trying to watch it. And I saw he had 5, and I was like, Webster won. That was my immediate feeling. And then when you pull up and you had, because I thought you had 2, going back to live at 1:00, you had 2. Then when you had 3, I was like, hang on a second. I bet he's one. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I actually text Fat Cat. I said, dude, I think Nick's won this thing. And sure enough, man, it was so close, but what a dang week, man. What a week. And look, we went into this. I got to thank you for catching a big one on a glide bait. I got to thank Joseph Webster for catching them on a plopper and all the great action we saw, because we went into this week thinking snooze fest. This is going to be a rough one for live. And it wasn't, man. Like, live was as good of a live as now it did get a little grimy on day 3 after about 11:00. It was like pulling teeth, I will say. But dude, day 1, there were lots of bites. Day 2, there were lots of bites, especially early. And it was not the tournament we thought it would be. I'll tell you, Saginaw Bay, great fishery. The live up there, just to pull the curtain back, dude, I'd have rather been anywhere than in the studio on the last day. We had 5 guys, and this ain't a shot at live scope, but everybody was doing the same thing. Nobody was talking. Nobody was catching them. And so me and Fat Cat were like, you got any playing cards? Like, we were looking for crap to do in there, man, but this was not that, because every time you'd pull that buzzer out or somebody throw a plopper, or you pull up on one of these juicy looking trees, you're like, something bad about to happen. Like, you're just glued to it. Like, it was must see TV, man. So I got to thank y'all for putting on a show this week, dude. And talk a little bit about the rowdy buzz. I don't ever on LB, I really don't go deep dive on techniques that much, but that buzzbait, I'm a buzzbait nerd. I like me a buzzbait. And you said a buddy of yours at Lake Fork makes this thing, and you called it the rowdy buzz. And you told me the night before, you said, buddy, wait till you hear this thing on live. You're going to hear it. Trust me. And it does all the things. Squeaks, clacks, like it
gurgles.
Yes, it's one of the most impressive sounding. But talk a little bit about that. And let's give some love to the rowdy buzz.
So that Rowdy Buzz is a local boy. I believe he's from Indiana, but he comes out here, and I think it spends his winter and does a lot of fishing and stuff. And actually, after this podcast, I'm going to be meeting up with him this morning to take some pictures and stuff with the shield. And he's a really good dude. He actually has got his boat in the same boat storage as I do, and he started selling these around here and getting them in the local shops. And I believe now he's like on Tackle Warehouse and some other places. You might even be able to look him up online and buy direct. I'm not sure, but I think I've always bought them locally here. But I think I've been running for about 4 years. But it's close to like the old style bugger, man. It's got the banana shaped head on it, and it's got a long arm. The wire's a little light on it, so like skipping that toad and stuff, underneath them cables, once in a while I'd bang it too hard. You have to, adjust it a little bit. But once you get that thing dialed in and the sound's right on it, it was just like, it was the annoying sound. I was telling Jesse and Barron to throw a buzzbait in practice, and they said, I can't get bit. I ran Jesse down about noon on the second day, and I gave him one, and I said, hey, take this and throw this. And he calls me like 2 hours later. He's like, dude, I'm already catching fish on it. And then he caught a 610, and he's like, I'm all in. So I was like, yeah. So, but this is the one
for sure.
Yeah, something about the sound. It's just a headbanger. The blade bangs the head. I pulled the skirt off and elected to put a toad on it. I just feel like in the fall it gives them something to get a hold of. And then of course I run a trailer hook on it. But I was just throwing a 1/2 ounce version. He's with it was just a black head with a black blade, but pretty simple setup. Great buzzbait, super long shank hook. I mean, it literally will take the entire length of a toad or a big bite or any of them, and all the way down the sides. I happened to stop at Baitworks because I'd never been there. I wanted to see what they were all about. I stopped there on the way up, and I had 0 toads in my boat, and they happened to have some black with some emerald red in there. And so I bought 1 pack and bought some other stuff when I was up there. And then I get up there and I'm like, that was the deal. And I was like, I literally thought I was going to have to drive back to Baitworks on one night to get black and red toads. Cause you know how it is when you get something and it's catching fish. It's like, I gotta have it. Yeah. Gotta have it. So,
yeah. That confidence is so huge. Now, is it in the fall? I mean, obviously, you had a lot of confidence in that bait, but is that one of your go-tos this time of year when fish are up around shallow stuff? You got bluegill sunning, is that your go-to over a plopper? Is that Rowdy Buzz?
Yeah, the plopper for me, I do real good in the spring with that. Like after the spawn, for some reason, seems like, when they're up there on, garden fry and stuff, it seems to work pretty good for me. Big long casts around grass and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big plopper guy. I threw it. I did get some bites on it during practice. But the buzzbait just seemed like it germinated, it generated a lot more aggressive and a lot bigger strikes. And it seems like the fish, I mean, I would pull it off of one of them logs. Sometimes it'd be 10 feet away. So that fish had to come a long ways to finally just be fed up with it and ate it. But I think in the fall, I would say probably a buzzbait, and then my second would probably be a spook or a like a sexy dog or something walking it super fast.
Yeah,
that just depends on what lakes we're on.
We saw some bites. You never caught a big one on the buzzbait the last day, but the bites were just ferocious. Even when they were little ones, every time one would bite it, we're like, "There's no way that's not a 4-pounder." Like every bite was just they did not match their size. It was the same way on the plopper for the guys throwing the plopper. The fish were just super aggressive when they actually would commit to the bait. But just some amazing visual. And if you go back, if you watch live, y'all know I run my mouth a lot. I like to talk, and I get paid to talk. But I was silent every time Nick would fire. I'm just like, we're just me and Fat Cat are both. That's a surefire way to get us to shut up, just to fire a Rowdy Buzz out there, and we're just both like we're reeling it in, waiting on a bite, dude. It was awesome.
Have you ever been in the boat? Have you ever been in the boat with somebody else is in the back seat throwing the buzzbait, and you're doing something else? You can't concentrate because your right ear is so focused on listening for that buzzbait to cannonball or flush. It's like I ended up catching, I think, my 3rd biggest fish on the last day on a buzzbait. I only thought it was like 2. It ended up being like 2 3/4, and then I missed another 3 on it. And then like maybe 45 minutes before the day was over, we were off camera, and I threw it by this stump, and I only had 3 at the time, and I was reeling that buzzbait in. The fish came once again kind of from the boat at it, and it was probably 6. We seen the whole fish. Camera guy goes, "Holy crap, that would have won the tournament." And I was like, "Thanks for that." Yeah. And I watched it swim right down to the logs. I picked up my cricket. I was alternating between a Catch and Cole's little beaver bug that he makes, or it's a little bait company here that that sponsored me this year, and he's a good dude up here in Texas. But I got a little skinny on him. I was gluing them back together, and I rotate between that and a Strike King structure bug, and I didn't get any bites. And I said, let's do a lap around here and come back. And then I ended up flipping by another log, and I caught that last 2-pounder, and then that was it for the day, other than some short fish. But yeah, I had one big blow up on it. He's like, because that figures, he said, it always happens when it's off camera, but I think he got pretty good footage of me on that with that glide bait fish. So
there ain't no doubt. Listen, buddy, we were glued to that. Trust me, that was that was one of the best catches. I've been doing this for 4 years. I'm telling you, that one right there, the fish blowing up on it, you could see the bull, but it was just everything. It was the setup, you pulling the bait off the rod, and it's like truly your first cast. And cool, it was like you can't script it. Like if I would have said, "Hey, camera guy, have this happen for Nick," like I couldn't make it up any better. Fat Cat and I are looking at each other off camera, like, what just freaking happened? That was incredible.
I know. I've talked to Tim at Scottsboro, and that's Tim's glide bait that he just started making, and it's the color was that new Mullins color.
Okay.
So, but
I think we froze up there. Nick, can you hear me? Technical difficulties there. Let me add Nick back here. Might have had some bad phone service there. Not sure. Nick Brown, great stuff right there. I hope y'all are enjoying this as much as I am. He's a great guy, absolute fantastic angler, and hate to for him to not be able to finish his thought there. Scottsboro Tackle glide bait. I got to scoot back a little bit. I'm all up in this camera. There's Nick Brown is back. Let's add him back there. There's Nick. All right, Nick. Sorry.
I don't know if it was you or me, but I got back there faster that time.
Hey, you're good, man. So Scottsboro Tackle glide bait in the David Mullins. I hate to give David Mullins any credit for anything. Dang, Tennessee.
He's a good dude.
Now I love me some David Mullins, man. He is he's one of my favorites in this sport, and he's been doing just total sidebar, just so much hurricane relief up there in his part of the world, man. David's as good as it gets, and 100%. Fine example of a fine human being, no doubt about it. So just I have to give him a hard time though, because I've known him for so long.
Yeah, it makes a good second reason to own a duck boat, don't it? Be able to run around there and help everybody out.
No doubt about it, man. He's been doing it, putting his money where his mouth is. There's no doubt about it, and helping folks. But is that glide? And I apologize. I love glide bait fishing. I've been down that rabbit hole for years now. I'm not familiar. I mean, obviously, no Scottsboro Tackle. They make some of the best swim baits out there. But is that glide available now?
It is. When I talked to him, he said he had some. So he's got that on Tackle Warehouse too.
Okay.
So I actually got mine from Tackle Warehouse. But yeah, he's got that glide available, and I think he's got some available there at the shop too. He said so. But I told him, I said, I may have to get another one from you. I think I'm going to have to retire this one. So
yeah, you got to hang that one on the shield, Bubba. That one's got to, because without it, that tournament might have looked different on that final day for sure. That was the bite, man. Well, and you said you caught him on the second day as well. I mean, I love that and look, I will never claim to be a swim bait expert. There are so many people that are dialed on great big swim baits and the rods and all the things, but I do love that now it's entered mainstream tournament bass fishing more and more and more. And we do have the smaller sizes that are more applicable for tournament bass fishing, and affordable too, right? Like they've got more bargain bin style glides. So you're not spending $300 necessarily on a lot of the craziness that's out there. And there's a lot of awesome bait makers that deserve that kind of money. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm glad that the masses can kind of get their hands on some glides now. And the fact that it's a tournament technique is really cool for me, because it was like this underground, like you knew people, like even when I was fishing FLW, you knew guys that were all about it, but you rarely saw them throw it on tournament day because it would burn them so bad, because they're throwing huge stuff. They're like, man, in practice, I had a couple bites, but I'm not even going to get it out. And now it's really neat to see that we've got these, 6-7 inch glides that people are starting to really play in tournaments with. And you got $100,000 because of it. I'll assure you, it was perfect working that into the game plan.
Yeah, it was just a, it was a, for a long time, the glide was just a practice bait. Guys are running by docks in the spring and stuff. They get them big girls to show themselves. And, I live right here on Lake Fork, and to go down the bank and get them, bedders in 4 and 5 feet of water, come up and boil on it. They won't eat it, but they'll sit there and they'll show themselves. So this is like 3-4 years ago. Then we drop our poles and we'd use perspective mode and start catching them that way. So when that secret got out about, catching big fish off the bed with the perspective, with the forward facing sonar stuff, that was kind of a bummer deal. But then you go to this tournament, I fished in 2 feet of water and didn't turn anything on all day. I tried to stay as quiet as possible, even though, like you said, I had a fairly large handful of people show up out there about 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was like it went from the most peaceful flat you could ever want to bass fish to just you needed a traffic cop. I couldn't really say anything. I kept my cool. Everybody that knows me is like, I cannot believe that you didn't come uncorked. I was like, what? I said, I didn't need to. I said, James hooked me up. Yeah, I heard about that. James Watson was out there doing on the water coverage, and I think he ran some interference and tried to figure that situation out. And it was the same with we saw it with Joseph Webster too, man. He's coming down a stretch of docks, and there's a local, and look, I get it. Beautiful Friday. You want to be out there. But if you look up and you see a guy in a bass boat with a cameraman behind him, you know what's going on. Just go fish there's 70,000 boat docks on Lake of the Ozarks. Go fish
100%.
One of the other 69,999. Don't cut off Joseph Webster. Don't cut off Nick Brown on this. And there was I forget exactly how you worded it, but you're like, old buddy, he's aggressive. Like they were fishing for $1 million and trying to beat you to trees and different things. And we could see it over your shoulder, man. And so congrats to you on keeping your cool. Kudos to you for keeping your cool, because that ain't easy at all. They literally were going, them logs there's probably 30 targets out there for me to hit. And they were literally in front of me, going like hopscotching in front of me, going from log to log, throwing a buzzbait, doing the exact same stuff I was doing, except for that's why I picked up the glide. But they had seen it, they knew what I was doing, and they did the exact same thing in front of me. Then that one old boy come up that really tipped Watson over and got about 50 feet from me and started flipping a log beside me. And it was like, that was all he could take. It was over. Did Watson tell him to go fish some boat docks?
He did. Yeah, very clearly.
I bet he did. We missed that on live. That's the kind of stuff we need on MPFL live. But I talked to James a little bit about it. I appreciate him. He gets it, man. Like it's just, I don't know. I'm a Tennessee River guy, so we experience that a lot. Sometimes locals don't make the best decisions, gives everybody a bad name. That's a bass fisherman. Like, look, if we play the sport on public water. I'm not saying because somebody's got a chance at 100,000, it means more than your day off on a Friday. But especially if you're practicing for a tournament, I told a guy on Kentucky Lake one time, I was trying to make the top 20 cut. My rookie year at FLW Tour, I ran 87 miles one way. This gentleman watched me on day one catch all my weight. He was clapping. Hey, yeah, man. Over my shoulder when I catch my boat flip. Asked me if he could watch me. Yeah, cool. No problem. This spot was not on a map. I randomly found this place. He did not know this place was there. Okay. And I won't say I'm a great local at Kentucky Lake, but I know a lot about Kentucky Lake. I'd never fished this spot and literally found it. It was a shallow bar up on the ledge that I found it just actively cranking in the current, right? I catch a 6 and a 4 on the same Strike King 5XD the last day of practice, and there's like 20 with it when I find them. First day of the tournament, no current. They back off. Anyways, I have to adjust, but I catch them. I get back down there. Actually, Brian New is my co-angler. He was still fishing co-angler back then. We run all the way down there, around the bend. There's old buddy sitting right on the goods. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Same boat. So I pull up. I'm like, hey, man, you mind if I slide up there? He goes, you can stay right where you're at. I'm like, hang on a second. Where'd this attitude come from? He's catching them every cast. So he tells me, well, I'm practicing. I'm going to be here for a tournament tomorrow anyways. I'm just checking them. I said, why would you? And I think you said something like this on live too, but I'm like, why would you do what you're doing if you're fishing tomorrow? Okay. Other than just to be a jerk. You saw they were here yesterday. You saw what I was doing to catch them. You saw the line. I know you got 15 waypoints now on how to line up and all the things. He sat there and called him 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 and literally called. The last one he called was a 6 right in front of me, holds it up, and then goes on and says, "See you tomorrow." I'm like, "You won't see me tomorrow. I'm not going to make the damn cut." You sat here and caught every freaking bass. I ended up making the cut, but I had to leave that area. I couldn't get bit on it anymore. And as he's out of the way, he said, "I've been here since daylight." He's like, "I don't need a pro fisherman to show me how to catch them on my home lake." I was like, well, okay. So I've always kind of had a bitter taste for that, right? Like it's just not okay. We see it a lot. I don't fault anybody for getting out on the water and wanting to catch a bass, but also if you claim to like this sport at all, you probably know what's going on. If you're a tournament fisherman on Lake of the Ozarks, you knew the MPFL was there. You were probably watching the coverage. They had a big local event on Saturday, and you knew Nick Brown and you knew where he was at. You saw the background and you go, "Oh, I know where that's at." You said the guy was throwing a buzzbait too, huh?
Oh, well, one of them was pitching, and probably 75% of them in the kayaks out there were throwing a buzzbait.
Yeah,
just doing exactly the same thing I was doing in front of me. But I can tell you right now, I mean, that buzzbait thing was pretty particular. I mean, I think a lot of it was the sound. Yeah.
No doubt. In the top 5, 2 days in a row covering the top 5, I don't think we saw anybody catch them on a buzzbait but you. A lot of ploppers, but I know there were some guys that caught some on a buzzbait, but nothing like, I mean, out of all the anglers we talked to all week, you had it dialed. And it definitely, that's why I asked you about it on the show. Give him a shout out because it seemed to be pretty special.
Yeah, you don't go to the Ozarks, Table Rock, anything in the fall this time of year, and a plopper and a buzzbait is a staple. I mean, if those ain't the first 2 things you dig out, then you don't stand a chance.
Now let me ask you this, kind of wrapping up here. I've got to ask you because we gave you a hard time about it, and you mentioned it on live, but Big Al started calling you granddad because you just became a granddad, little Levi's granddad. And you're not an old guy at all. Okay. So granddad, nope. The granddad label is not for Nick Brown, even though officially you are one. Did your family get to come to the final weigh-in?
They did not. So Levi was literally like six days old, in that first 2 weeks. They keep him at the house, and kind of keep him away from everybody. And he was pretty small anyway. He was like 5 pounds, 12 ounces. And so we didn't want to take any chances. My wife, she stayed home to help, and she felt absolutely horrible. I called her on stage and she was a blubber mess. So I just hung up on her. I was like, "I'll talk to you later," and click,
I'll bring this check home. I'll see you.
Yeah. I tell you what, I mean, it was really awesome. It was awesome to be up there and fish with those guys and for everything to work out like it did. And I couldn't ask for it to be any better or be showed any more love by everybody. I mean, I just started with Suzuki this year, and I just, got a little thing going with Basscat this year, and to be the first winner out of a Basscat was pretty special. And be, I don't know how many winners we've had with this new Suzuki, but I really enjoy having that motor, enjoy the fuel economy and how reliable and stuff it's been. And just everybody, that helps me, get to where I'm at. Kistler's been with me. I've been with Kistler since, like 10 or 12 years. So, but it's been pretty special. And the outpouring and stuff has been awesome. But like I said, it was an awesome week. Got 2 blessings, a win and a grandbaby all in the same shot.
Unbelievable, man. You talk about a week that the Brown family will never forget. This is certainly going to be one, but hey, you got another chance in December, buddy. Don't get to thinking. I mean, once these rolls start happening, you never know what could happen. We got December, Lake Murray, the event that won't go away, as I'm calling it, joking, because Hurricane Helene had other plans for us in September, and then we rescheduled it for the St. Johns River, and then the city of DeLand had a meeting with Brad Fuller and crew last week, and they said, "Hey, this river's flooded. It's a mess. We're worried about it. You ain't got to go home, but you can't be here." And so they had to make another change. And so now Lake Murray in December. What, real quick, before we wrap up, what are your thoughts on Lake Murray? Have you ever been there?
I have not been to Lake Murray. I figured I'd just go there and follow Patrick Walters around the entire practice.
Listen, probably not a bad idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I would never do that. Be honest with you. I mean, it's just, I mostly call me. They treat it like a spotted bass lake, so that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's an interesting fishery. It's got some big ones in it, man. It ain't got big ones like Lake Fork's got, but it's got some big old largemouth in it. And I think if the weather treats y'all right, you'll hit it. I mean, potentially right on the noggin. Like it could be a dang good. I was excited for that reschedule out of anywhere we could have gone. I think that's going to be a really cool tournament to end the year on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I don't know. It could be some big fish. I mean, if the water temperature and stuff gets right down there and I'm not sure. It's just going to be fall fishing. I mean, I don't know if I've ever fished a tournament that late in the year, clear up into December without just doing a Saturday jackpot between Christmas, week or something for fun.
Yeah. Normally I'm solely focused on deer and eating Christmas dinner at that point. So I'm normally not thinking about bass fishing in December.
I have a really strong feeling that between the deer rut going, getting ready to kick off and the Thanksgiving week, I have a feeling that's why we missed in November.
I'd say you're probably right. The powers that be definitely like to be in a tree stand. I will say that. I'm not calling anybody out on Low Budget Live from the MPFL, but we did go straight to December instead of November.
Yeah, I would you like to put any money on that? Because I bet we'd win.
Yeah. I will say, Nick, before we both get in trouble, that was never said to me, but I was like, why not November? Why we skip November? Why we gotta go to December? But hey, I'm a little selfish too when it comes to the deer rut.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. Now, if we could just get him to dodge the late September, elk rut, that would be
that'd be great. On. I just wish we could dodge September all the way around, buddy. September bass fishing and is just grimy. I mean, grimy.
Yeah.
No matter where you go in the dang country, it's just that time.
Yeah, we need to get some powers that be into archery elk hunting, and then maybe they would have a difference of opinion on whether we should fish in September.
I bet if you can get him on a trip, you could definitely change his mind on that.
We could swing that 100%.
Ain't no doubt. And if you got an extra spot, just holler at your boy. Let me know, dude. And which I know you're East Texas. I had a friend of mine kill a great bull in West Texas earlier this year. Free range, so hearing him talk about that, which obviously Texas is a massive state, but you don't think Texas when you think elk hunting. So that was cool earlier this year. My buddy Kelvin killed a big one out in West Texas.
Yeah, they got some hill country out there, and I think they got some private ranch stuff, and then I think they might even have some free range ones that have gotten loose out there. But we primarily do Colorado, New Mexico. I guided in Colorado for about 9 years when I was younger, and could actually walk up and down them mountains for 3 months straight. You know what I mean? They'd probably kill me now.
That takes a special kind of conditioning in that altitude and everything, man. I can't fathom. Especially having, I told the story earlier before I brought you on about yesterday and having to delay LBL and all that. I can't imagine walking up a hill, let alone a mountain right now.
Yeah. Them guys used to call me and they'd say, "Hey, what do I need to do to prep for this hunt?" I'd be like, put a backpack on with 20 pounds and then put a clothespin on your nose and breathe through a jumbo straw and take a jog. I said, that's what you're gonna be up against. And them guys are like, boy, they'd get up there and they're like, you weren't kidding. So
it's real life, man. I did not know that you were an elk guy. That is awesome, man. What an experience. Yeah. I'm sure. Now, are you a whitetail guy in East Texas?
I haven't done much since I've been down here. I moved down here from Kansas and did a lot of stuff up there, but up in Kansas, it's like going back in time in some of these states. You go Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, you can still knock on a door and get permission to hunt, and a checkbook isn't involved. You can still go out and drive around every night and spot up a big deer and follow him and watch him and get permission to actually hunt him and stuff, and not have somebody running you off. And it's just different up there, than what it is down here. So nothing against what these guys are doing down here. It's just not quite the same. So
harder to find dirt to hunt for sure. Same in Tennessee, man. Everything's leased up for the most part. It's hard to do door knocking. You get some exceptions to that rule, but it's definitely not easy. As it can be in the Midwest sometimes. But Nick Brown, dude, I appreciate you being patient with me and delaying this a day. and coming on here, man. Congratulations on $100,000 being an MPFL champ. They can't ever take that shield from you. That's for sure. Now they'll take the money from you. Somebody will. I know if it's anything like my house, somebody will take the money from you, but they can't take the shield from you, dude. And another one for the working man. I love it. Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And man, it was great being on here, and I have no problem waiting on you and getting it out there and sharing with everybody. So it's a heck of an experience.
It was an awesome story, man. You killed it on live. I know I texted that already, but I'm just I'm proud for you. I'm proud it worked out, man. I hate it for Joseph Webster, but what a dang finish to a tournament. Nick Brown, I appreciate you. Y'all make sure you're keeping up with MPFL and Nick Brown and all things bass fishing. He is this is what it's all about, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, all right. That's all she wrote with Nick Brown, your stop number 5 NPFL champion. Such a good dude, and appreciate him taking time out of his morning here for a rescheduled LBL so we could all learn a little bit more about him and talk about what it meant to win $100K on Lake of the Ozarks. I appreciate y'all being patient again and checking on me, man. It means a lot. And we'll be back next week with more of this craziness. I can assure you, going to take you out with liars and thieves. Just listen to old Shannon Wheeler, dude. Let's fish on that fiddle. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all next week. See you.
With the bad news, no goods and slightly used can really be a shame.